Hi, my name is Jolene Dilney, and I'm a student reporting live from Cape Breton University, where I am doing this video because we have to publish it on YouTube for our strategic management course to present the findings of our strategic analysis for an organization that we chose. So I did choose to do Starbucks, the company, because I do enjoy coffee. And so as we all know, Starbucks is known for fancy lattes, caffeinated drinks, and good quality coffee, especially a specialty coffee around each corner of the season. They're optimally known for pumpkin spice lattes, including hashtags. Lots of social media campaigns are revolving around their specialty lattes, gingerbread lattes, peppermint lattes at Christmas time. So they really, their unique selling advantage and selling point proposition for Starbucks is that they really do sell the experience. They sell the feeling, like treat yourself to a latte. So customers are usually more willing to pay the premium for the coffee because they feel like they are getting something in return. So that is really where Starbucks has their unique proposition value. The first coffee house started in the 1970s in Seattle at the Pike Place Market. Howard Schultz is the CEO, and he's the president of the company. He was traveling over Europe and Italy, and he became enthralled with the Italian roasteries, and that's really where Starbucks, the atmosphere and the culture was kind of spearheaded and created, was when Howard Schultz took on the presidency of Starbucks. He sort of wanted to create this culture where family and friends could come in and connect over and have the feeling of being like treated well in an Italian coffee roastery, which I would say he has achieved over time and continues to achieve. Currently, there are over 15,000 stores in over 50 countries. Starbucks organizational structure has 3 different regions, which has been a rollout since just in the past few years, actually. So they look at they're separated by the China and Pacific, which is China and the rest of the Pacific, like Japan and Korea. The Americas, which is United States, Canada, Mexico, and Latin America. The EMEA region, which is Europe, United Kingdom, Middle East, and Africa. They also have a board of directors who help supply and oversee all of the decisions that are being made by the company, so that way they have, like, the leadership has people to go back to. Each regional director of those regions have someone to go back to and bounce off of how are they spending their capital, and so I think that this is a good setup for them because they're able to pull on the expertise of many different people. There's 12 people sitting on the board, and the decisions for strategic planning and decision making has to go through the board, which I think is really important to have that sort of accountability for such a globalized market and such a global company like Starbucks. So they do operate in the coffee and snacks industry, retail industry, and for this strategic analysis I looked at the Michael Porter's 5 forces to analyze their competitive advantage in the marketplace. So for the bargaining power of suppliers, we would say that they have a low to moderate pressure. The main input from the value chain for Starbucks is the coffee, which is typically an Arabica coffee, which is bought from different suppliers all over different regions of the world. But because they do keep with this one coffee bean, they are able really to go, should they need to, buy it from different suppliers, which does help to keep the pressure low for them, and the cost value difference wouldn't be that much of a difference per se. They do, however, operate under a coffee and ethical fair trade agreement and practice, which does help to regulate that. However, again, their outside pressure from suppliers probably would be fairly low because of how large they are. The bargaining power of buyers is also relatively low because individually, if a buyer decided not to purchase, it probably wouldn't make that much of a difference. But collectively, as a group, it could hurt the company. For example, if there was an economic crisis, that would potentially be a problem if people decided to stop spending money on specialty lattes and had to take a step back. They could start to choose competitors like McDonald's or Dunkin' brands. Potential new market entrants is again relatively low because while it's pretty easy to enter the market, it's difficult to compete with such an iconic brand like Starbucks. The threat of substitute products is a moderate level of pressure. Nowadays, we are becoming a really health-conscious society. However, Starbucks has already started to operate and challenge that by having like skinny lattes, having the nutritional value out. They also sell kombucha. They opened up like their own Envision Fresh smoothie line, which also helps with fresh pressed juices as well. So that has certainly helped to keep that threat at bay. Their existing competition is probably the strongest force from the external forces in Michaels Porter force analysis here because Starbucks is only known for selling coffee, it is hard to compete with a company like Dunkin' Brands or Dunkin' Donuts or McDonald's, which their only value isn't just created by coffee, but the coffee is a secondary value proposition for them. Financially, Starbucks is doing extremely well, I would say. Even after expenses, they're able to bring in millions of dollars in revenue, and per year they are maintaining a 7% increase of store growth from 2011 to 2015, which is significant. In addition to that, in 2015, Starbucks revenue after expenses was $19 million with an increase of 17% since 2014, so that is fairly significant. They do also carry 35% of the market share for coffee goods and snacks, so again, they are doing quite well. So just going down into some of the recommendations that I would have for Starbucks coming up would be that they would commit to recruiting customers at every store for their digital platforms, because there has been studies that show that those people who have a mobile device and who have the app for Starbucks and just purchase it from the app actually do tend to spend more money because there's a reward system from the app. So having people on board for that would be a huge benefit to Starbucks. And I would say another recommendation could be to partner with like a bakery, something like that, because people enjoy the idea of going into Chapters and buying a Starbucks latte and having a book and reading, but also if they were able to then expand their products with food and partner with maybe like a well-known bakery or somebody like Jamie Oliver, that could possibly give them more of a competitive edge in the market if they were to become associated with a significant baker or like Martha Stewart, something like that, where people could go in and enjoy a baked goods, like a fresh homemade, not just from a box where they know it's been frozen, but something like that could be a recommendation and a strategic opportunity for Starbucks. And also expansion of their after hours offerings, because in some cities they do have Starbucks coffee houses which offer coffee or wine and craft beer, but there actually isn't that many. So actually having extended hours where they just offer alcoholic beverages, like a base alcoholic beverage menu, because their coffee houses are so kind of posh already, people do enjoy the feeling of being able to go out and enjoy the atmosphere created for them. So that could be a benefit. So those are my recommendations.